Are we going to get two teams to the third round that haven't lost a game? It's Millard and Shannon. It's 100% hockey.
I was wondering about that after Carolina won Game 3 against Philadelphia. Is there something in the back of of Rod Brind'Amour's mind or Tom Dundon's mind saying, I'd like another game because I don't want to be off for 10 days?
Well, it's the way the other series lines up too.
As well, yeah.
Carolina could possibly, like, this is the way it could line up. They could sweep Philadelphia, and the other series is only 2 games in.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wow, you're looking at a layoff.
Yeah, and so how do you manage that? I was actually trying to check their American League team is in Chicago. And, and would you try to get your American League team back together again and come to Raleigh and play a couple of games?
No, with your taxi squad.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, try to do something.
It's bad being on the taxi squad, and that's hard enough as it is. Now the players are going to feel like they're on the taxi squad. The team's going to feel like they're on that squad because they're not playing.
Now, I don't want to get a phone call from Rick Tocchet saying you're counting us out too early, but no. Carolina has looked pretty impressive, winning 3 straight games from the Flyers, including Game 3 in Philly. And Freddie Anderson has been, the best player on the ice for both teams.
Philadelphia needs to channel Pittsburgh in that first round.
A little bit.
Try to get back in the series a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure that the Hurricanes wouldn't be opposed to having the time off, really. But at the same time, you are concerned about how you maintain your focus. I don't know.
So the theory was in past years they've run out of gas, right?
Yes. Well, if this takes. I mean, what did they have? 8 days after beating Ottawa? I mean, it was a long time after beating Ottawa too. So it's not as if that. They've played 3 games in the last 11 days. So
the story is going to be number of days in series if they happen to sweep. I'll go down this path. Number of days in series versus number of days between series at the start of the third round. That will be the graph that you producers like to put up.
The announcers like to just read.
I'm very conscious of that. Yeah, you told me that one time. Don't just say what's on the screen.
Do not read. Compliment the pictures. And
there's some good feedback to your seminar the other night on 100% hockey. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see any.
One person tweeted saying somebody on our show needs to go to your seminar.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm
I
glad
believe that's a shot at me.
Okay. Well, and duly noted. And by the way, we could have. I don't think it will happen, but Colorado's won 6 games in a row as well, and so have they played this week in this series? I mean, this series is taking a little drawn out time to get played.
Yeah, 3 days between games,
and so you have to wonder what kind of.
Nobody was happy with Colorado in the first round. Nobody liked what happened with the Avalanche, and they swept.
Yeah, but now you have to wonder what kind of energy Minnesota can create at home in order to try to get back in that series. Because right now it doesn't look like they're in the series. There's a lot going on that we'd want to uncover. Mike Johnson is standing by, and we will get to him in just a little bit. Well, Mike is one of those guys. He obviously works for TSN in Canada. Is going to go to the World Hockey Championships for TSN. Also does a lot of work for Sirius Satellite Radio on a daily basis, and also works for the NHL Network in Secaucus, New Jersey, and does a really good job. Those panel shows to do at the network are tough to do because you have to watch everything and then distill information and make 30 minutes out of it. Where if you had your way, you could probably talk all night about games and scenarios and certain plays in games, and Mike does an outstanding job.
former Toronto Maple Leaf, I believe, I got to check with him. I think he did a couple of promos way back when the Leafs first moved over to Air Canada Centre then with Matt Sundin. There was some crossover with the Raptors. They were doing all these little promos. And I remember him hanging out with Matt Sundin. So Matt's is back. I wonder if he can rekindle his friendship, his relationship with Matt's.
Well, no, Mats is now management, so you know.
Oh yeah, the line, yeah.
Management doesn't really talk very often. So.
Well, somebody's talking over there. Yeah. Like that.
But who's listening?
Well, there was enough stuff coming out of there during the GM search that somebody was talking.
Well, you know what? We've had 2 days of no noise. It's kind of nice.
It's like the Vrabel Rossini story. Just give it another 24 hours.
Oh no, don't go there.
It's true. It keeps bubbling back up, and the Leafs will do the same thing. Mike Johnson on the way on 100% hockey. See a little crossover there, like bringing in stuff from other sports. John,
you should listen to the podcast again. The broadcasting podcast.
Back after this.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament.
Us against the world, boys.
To the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
He's hanging out in New Jersey, working for the NHL Network, so we'll pick his brain a little bit. Here is Mike Johnson on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. What's going on? Nice artwork. Do you like the room? Do you ever get the same room when you're over there?
It is the same room. You can tell by the seats, it's quite a decor. Although I saw your hat and saw 100%, I'm like, is that your high school math mark or is that for the podcast? I'm not sure which one it was for. I'm guessing the pod.
It was the pod. The story about my high school math mark is I cheated off of Kevin Cheveldayoff to get through it. I barely squeaked by. Chevy guided me through, believe it or not.
I'm not going to suggest that kind of thing happens at university, but I remember when I got my freshman year, word got out that I was okay at school. And we were taking some sort of communication class, and the Bowling Green hockey team was in a very arrow formation. I was at the points, and everyone back was just working one back, one sideways. And I had to do a test slowly. I'm like, okay, A, everyone done? Okay, B, everyone done? Yeah, that's it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah, the name of this show is 100%. Not 47%. Okay, just for the record, because if we did name it after Darren Math Mark, it would be 47.
Yeah, well, Mr. Persian, he was a team player too. He wanted me the hell out of there to help the team
because he wanted to be done with you. Like, time to get you graduated. Get out of here.
Get through this thing. Hey, we got some really cool coaching matchups in this round of the playoffs. John Tortorella, Joel Quenneville, neither was with their team a year ago at this time. Two old school guys, and that Eastern Conference one between a couple of Flyer legends in Tocchet and Rod Brind'Amour.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, certainly Torts and Q are fascinating because they're two good teams that, you know, maybe we're not expected to be where they are right now. I think Joel Quenneville deserves a lot of credit for how all of a sudden Anaheim feels like they're mature in their own end, or they're playing a more responsible game. All year they were awful with the puck and with their decision-making, score a bunch and were super exciting, but they've been much better in that regard. So give the coaches credit there. And you know, Rod and Talk, they go way back. Rod playing the Philly card, right? Like saying everything good about the organization. But Rod Brind'Amour, I think more than any other coach in the league, and maybe it was Marty this way, but it's gotten away from that, Marty St. Louis, that is that the head coach is the face of the franchise and the face of the team. If you say Carolina, the first thing that comes to mind is Rod Brind'Amour, not Sebastian Aho and not Seth Jarvis or not Jacob Slavin. It's Rod. And his personality is all over everything on that team, from the way they speak to the way they play to the way they train. It's amazing what he's done there. And at this point, they're rolling like a juggernaut, Darren. Like 7 in a row. It's only been done twice since the salary cap started. No team's ever done 8 in a row to start a playoff series or a playoff season. So impressive stuff there. And even Talk has done a brilliant job getting Philly as far as he has. Looks like it's going to end sooner than later, but he's done a great job this year.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that about Brind'Amour and being the face. Look at the market he's in. Mm-hmm. In the triangle, when you talk about sports, you talk about college sports, UNC, North Carolina State, Duke. And who do you think of first? You think of the coach.
Coach K, Dean Smith, yeah.
Sure. Bill Belichick. So it's almost like it has worked and geared for that market where the fan base can understand it a little bit more, as opposed to what we've seen in other cities. And Mike, when you were here in Toronto, there was lots of times where the focus was never on the players and was always on the coach or the manager or the ownership. And that was always a negative thing, not necessarily a positive thing. But in Rod's case, it certainly is a positive thing.
Collegial is a good way to describe it, really. He sort of runs a program there, which no one describes pro sports NHL teams as a program. It's 23 independent contractors. It's very much business-like. There's sort of not a lot of loyalty goes either way. It's you want to do well and be a good teammate, but it's still a cutthroat industry. And Rod has that collegiate vibe. So maybe that's an appropriate way to describe it. And the fact that Rod is, John, the thing is you have to be so well respected as a coach to be able to run a team this way, because players will resent the fact that they're the show, but the guy getting all the credit and all the attention is the coach. Eventually players will resent that, but in Carolina they don't. And I think because they feel like Rod's right there in it with them. So they're taking advantage of a good path, right? Ottawa and then Philly. It's murderer's row just yet. And they may not play a great team until the final, but they're probably going to get, they're going to have a great chance to get there the way they're going right now.
So you look at what they did in Game 3 against the Flyers, and they took some stupid penalties. And
both teams.
But is that just in the DNA of a Brind'Amour team that he gets to play to the edge and hopefully not over?
I don't think so, although they are by far the most penalized team this postseason, which is unusual. Now, when you're killing off 95% of the penalties, I guess it doesn't seem quite as punishing to take a bad penalty. I mean, Carolina is not known as a chippy team. They're not known as a team that wants to scrum it up. They don't want to get into the alley with you. They just want to play. But they do play fast. They do play hard. And they do finish checks. And when you do that all the time, you're going to catch a clip. You're going to catch a board. You're going to catch a interference, whatever it is. But I am a bit surprised that Rod hasn't been able to dial them back. And it's not just the Philly series. It's been all playoff long. They're getting like 5-6 penalties a game, time short. That's too many against better teams. At some point, it will hurt you. So now they took 5 last night. Philly took 9. So I guess if you hit, you'll take that trade. A 2-to-1 ratio on the power play is not a bad thing, but I don't think that's what Rod Brind'Amour wants his team to do, even though he does want them to play very physically.
And let's face it, Rod took a penalty himself last night. He got an unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, but John, you know this better than anyone. How bad was it what he said to take the first call was already a bit questionable, and the referees generally they tune you out. Like they know when they're gonna get it, and they're willing to take it without giving a penalty to go to a 5. Like they don't do that. And so he must have been really, that's enough. Did it again. That's enough. He did it again. Right. Rod, one more time, I'm going to have to give you a penalty. And he still did it again because refs don't overreact generally in that situation.
And my question, I was talking to somebody in the Canes organization after the game last night. I said, well, how many times had he been warned that night? How many times? Because we don't see that all the time. And that could have been through the whole game, let alone at that certain part of the second period.
All right. How about this is my proposal to both you guys. So there's been a lot of talk this postseason on diving, embellishing, whatever. And, that sequence where Konechny tackled Jarvis got him in, I think, the chest. And Konechny went with you got me in the chin. So it's too hard for referees to do this real time. It's like, I don't know if that stick grazed your chin. I don't know if you got hit there or not. It got up there, you reacted, it looks like it hit you. Day after the game, if I can prove that you embellished, not where you fell more than you had to, but John, if I hit you in the shoulder and you grab your nose, clearly your nose is not, you're faking. Can I either fine and eventually suspend you for that specific, you hold your face when your face never was contacted? Like, I'm not going to fine someone for moving their head because, listen, I'm not Kobe Bryant. You wave a stick in front of me, I'm going to pull my face out of the way. But if you act like you were hit in the face or the head and you were not, could I fine or suspend you eventually for doing that? I think I'd like to do that.
But don't you think, the embellishment list continues in the playoffs? So don't now the problem now is
but it's so long. It's such a process to get to wherever it matters.
And it doesn't matter. $2,500 not going to be anything. But if I can suspend you for a game,
but if you there would be something I would think that, hey, in the playoffs, change the criteria for the embellishment list. And yes, I agree with you. Absolutely. Try to clamp down on it because the referees. The angles on the ice, the speed of the game, it's difficult for the refs to know what's real and what's Golden Globe worthy.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about guys, you get tripped and they don't like the way you fell. You maybe, lunged around a little bit. I'm talking specifically, you're holding a part of your body that was not hit. You're 1,000% faking it, clearly. Then, or find them more. Now, I'm sure the players wouldn't like it. And a former player rep, I get what I'm doing here, taking more money out of the player's pocket, but I think it'd be easy if Travis Konechny, I'll say it's TK because he did it last night. If he knew that today he could be suspended for game 4, guess what he's not going to do in that moment? Grab his face. He might move his face, but he's not going to act like he was hit there. So I don't know. Just if it's a problem, fix it.
Did you ever take a dive?
I'm sure you have lots of video if you're going to do your diligence and find me. I was never given a diving penalty.
Oh,
I was never given an over the glass with the puck penalty because I shot it over the glass, and I never scored on my own net. So there you go.
But did you take a dive?
See, but this is where I use semantics. So
semantics, Darren.
Some people need to be able to, some people fall differently. Some people fall to protect themselves. Some people not to draw a penalty, but they're in a bad spot. Some people are not as great skaters. So I don't know. I fell a lot. I was a Zamboni my first 3 years. John would tell you I was a human Zamboni out there. So yeah, I probably did fall a few times that irked people, but I don't know if I ever dove specifically.
Does it work against you ever to be as efficient as Carolina's been through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs?
You could make the argument rest, right? You're going to have, if they win tomorrow game, if they sweep, they might have almost 10 days off.
Yes.
10 days off. That's a break, a training camp, another break. And then this great role they're on, is it going to be hard to keep that kind of
guys can go home
focus?
And see mom and dad.
Yeah, you can get a trip in. Yeah, which is so unusual. But I would say this, Darren, more than any other reason for Carolina to win right away, they got a goalie who's playing as well as he can possibly play, who needs to feel 100% perfect to play at his best. He's not a guy in Freddie Anderson that when he gets nicked up, he can sort of grind through it and be at his very best. He's just got to feel right. And when he's right as rain. He's really good. So if you wrap this up, you're going to get Freddie another full week to be perfectly healthy, feel like it's August to go roll into the conference final, which would bode well for his performance. So I'm taking the challenge of staying sharp over the risk of playing extra games.
Take a break. We'll come back with more with Mike Johnson from New Jersey. 100% hockey with Millard and Shannon.
You make it sound like he works for the Devils.
Yeah.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
I don't know why I said from New Jersey. I don't. I just
Because I'm in New Jersey right now.
Geographically correct. I should have said
Right.
from Toronto and
Star
Vegas and New Jersey.
And star of the Stage and Screen and the NHL Network. It's a good thing. There you go.
Well,
What are those
I'm a
one game
participant.
nights like for you?
they're a delight because the first round's tricky. And like you guys know, we're all on TV. The first round's hectic. And the two late games give an increased odds for overtime. And when you're doing the wrap show, you're at the mercy of a game.
Mm-hmm.
So a game that and the staggered starts in the first round, like a 10:20 Eastern start, which might bleed to 10:35, depending what happens in the pre-one. You're like, okay, best case, it ends at 1:10. It goes to overtime, it's 1:40. Best case, you got to get sound, you got to record a couple segments. You're like, it's 2:15, best case on a short overtime game, let alone a double OT. Yeah, those games get late. And Daren, as I get older, I can't stay up that late. I'm not so good at it anymore. Like I got to go to bed. I get tired. So one game nights are nice, especially when they end in regulation.
In the
Tired
early
and
days of Sportsnet, there was a Dallas-Vancouver game that was multiple overtimes, and I just thought, I said out loud, it was with Kevin Quinn on the set, and I said, let's just set a record. Let's go 4 overtimes. Let's go deep. And one of the camera operators, who I didn't know, he stood up and said, "I'm going to stab you." he was so offended.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
That's the spirit in the studio at those times.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. John.
So we alluded to Carolina being so good. The other side, it's there's a possibility that Colorado could do the 7-0. Does that series change that much by going back to St. Paul?
I mean, I think Minnesota's a really good team. So there's that. I think Minnesota is really being hurt by Brodin being out, Eriksson Ek being out. I mean, to go against Colorado to have a chance, you're going to need at least all of your players available to you and probably some good luck. What's been amazing that one, John? Well, 2 things. It feels like Colorado, who are 6-0 in the playoffs, haven't even played their best. Like it feels like they're still getting better. Like they're still finding their game somehow and they're undefeated in the playoffs. That's how good they can be. And the other part is we saw Dallas struggle and muddle through that series, unable to create any pace, any speed, and any 5-on-5 goals. And then you watch Colorado against, a couple injuries for sure, but against a really good defensive team in Minnesota, fly through the neutral zone like it's no problem at all. And that to me is the testament to the strength and excellence of Colorado, that they can take an area of strength of a good defensive team and make it look like it's not a strength at all. And if you're going to let Colorado skate like that, it's too much. It's too much. They're too good. They're too fast. There's too much going on to be good defensively. If they have that kind of pace, that's what I'll be watching for next game. Like, can Minnesota slow them down? If they can, they got a shot. If they can't, they do not.
No worries about goaltending in Minnesota?
Well, I never liked playing 3 games and not having the same goaltender twice in a row. That's never a good sign. I mean, Gustafsson had a good year. Wallstedt hasn't played this many games in a row probably ever in his NHL career. So I understand maybe sliding it in there, but I contrast that with Colorado. Like Bednar could have gone to Mackenzie Blackwood, who's also very good, but he doubled down, said, no, we like Wedgwood. We got confidence in him. He didn't play well in the first game either, but they went back to him. He played excellent in game 2. Gustafsson goes in there and was not great. That first goal by Natchez in game 2 wasn't ideal. He didn't give them what they needed to. So I guess there's a concern, but I'm not blaming it specifically on the goaltender. It's like Colorado flying around and Nate McKinnon doing what he's doing. That's harder. Whoever's in net. I just don't like the idea. Like we didn't like Wallstedt, so we're going to go to Gustafsson. We didn't like Gustafsson. We're back to Wallstedt. It just feels like we're scrambling and don't have a good answer.
Sometimes you have too many options. Like, really.
That's if you have 2, you don't have 1. Is that the old, right? If you got 2 starting quarterbacks, you don't really have 1. That's not necessarily the case in a lot of these teams this year because
and not Minnesota either. Like they've got 2 good ones, but just options complicated.
Colorado has 2 fully capable goaltenders. Even Carolina, they're the best teams that are in the playoffs still. I thought Bussy was going to start game 1 of the playoffs, Daren. I didn't think Freddie would even start. And now look at what Freddie's doing. So maybe having 2 is not that unusual, but I don't like going back and forth because it doesn't feel confidence inducing.
Does Quinn Hughes play with a chip on his shoulder because he wasn't named as a Norris finalist?
A lot of chatter about the Norris Trophy, wasn't there?
I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it at all. Quinn Hughes wasn't very good with Vancouver. He was traded mid-season. He's arguably 1A, 1B on his own team.
And the Olympics don't count. And the Olympics don't count.
I don't have an issue this year with Quinn Hughes not being included.
Okay. Now, did you have an issue with Lindy Ruff? Because he was good for half the year only.
Right. And I think John Cooper should win it.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I'm just like, it's interesting. It's a fascinating conversation. To me, what makes it interesting is it forces people to think about how do we evaluate great defensemen.
Right.
And it can't be just who's got the most points. There's got to be a defensive component to it. But perception, is it always reality? And the Evan Bouchard conversation to me is fascinating because, he had 92 points. He had 20% more points than Cale Makar. And I'm not here trying to say that Cale Makar is not the best defenseman in the world because I think he is. But this season, could you make a case statistically and otherwise that Evan Bouchard was better than Cale Makar, the things Cale Makar does really well? I think you
Offensively, yes, you could.
But I think even defensively, John, I think you look at some of the underlying numbers, actual goals against, expected goals against, relative goals against, based on their teams, Bouchard's right there. And in fact, he's better in some categories. So if my thing about the Norris Trophy is this, if you were going to put Makar as a finalist this year, Bouchard should have been there in his place because they are a similar, what they do well is similar enough that Bouchard did it better to warrant it. Now, if you had Mo Seider as a finalist, then you shouldn't have Evan Bouchard because that's apples to oranges. But Bouchard and Makar this year, for what they do really well, I could see having a conversation there where Bouchard might have warranted it. But I could also see Lane Hudson, who's a different kind of defenseman, warranting serious consideration. There's like 6-7 guys that you could put up there that would all deserve to be there. That's the challenge. I think Werenski wins it anyways. And I think maybe he probably deserved to, even though he struggled down the last few games. But it's a fun conversation because it makes you think about how you decide these things.
Well, Bouchard is the biggest lightning rod I've seen in a long time. Like, you're either all in or you are massively against that guy winning anything.
Well, here's the 2 reasons why, Darren. One, he didn't make the national team. He didn't play for Canada. You're like, how can you be so great and you weren't even the top 8? That teams were taking Drew Doughty or Travis Sanheim over you or Thomas Harley. Like, if you're so great, you got to be in the top 8 of your country. I get that sort of logic. The other one is, and I think he is plagued by the way he skates because he skates very upright. He doesn't move a lot.
I never thought of it that way.
He's not hunched over and like, look at him dig. He's really working. He skates upright and he just sort of moves and it looks casual. And so when it's a bad clip, you're like, he's not even trying to get back. He, of course, is trying to get back because the way he skates, the way he carries himself on the ice. Jake Gardner, former Maple Leaf, suffered from this. Very upright. And Jack Eichel skates very upright, except he's always going fast. And when it doesn't look like he's going fast, you're like, he's not trying. But of course he is. And the idea that giveaways or mistakes are an example of why he's not very good, it's not true at all. Every year, the top 10 defensemen in the league are also the top 10 giveaway givers. If you make plays, you make mistakes. It's like, on the aggregate, do you make enough good plays to counterbalance the ones that don't go right? He clearly does, but it's right. He is, you love him or you hate him. He's fascinating because he's so good, and yet people are still not sure that they think he's good at all.
I'm actually just happy Rasmus Dahlin is getting some attention.
Sure, of course.
Because that's the cup half full answer, but he has really, raised his game this season, and one of the big reasons why the Sabres were as good as they were in the regular season. The other aspect of this, Mike, is you said, what is the criteria? Good point. But we don't have any consistency in who does the balloting. Like the Jack Adams, the one that Lindy Ruff is on the list for, that's done by the broadcasters. The PHWA, the Professional Hockey Writers Association, have 4 or 5, but they don't do the Vezina. The general managers do the Vezina. So you almost have to wonder, is it time to look at how the trophies are awarded? And should there be and I can tell you that this was a word used within the league office when I was there, a blue ribbon panel of, say, 25 people that can decide all the trophies, so that there is at least a level of consistency in the criteria for awards. I'm not sure it makes sense, but it becomes one of those ones where, and I give the writers a lot of credit in the last 5 years. They're trying to create some consistency and some accountability by revealing their ballots. But at the same time, there are still these faults. I mean, was it 2 years ago or last year where one person didn't give McDavid the first, the Hart Trophy ballot, and he should have been unanimous, and then that guy's under the microscope? I mean, there's some strange things.
And if they can't get that right, you think they're anywhere close on the Selke, which is the hardest one to judge of all, because nobody really understands what that is.
The other part of this is a really a very old system of balloting, because it was when hockey writers traveled to every game. And so you not only saw your team, you saw every team in the league. How many writers don't travel?
And John, even just geographically, how much bigger is the league? All the West Coast teams, and it's harder, not harder, but it's
guys like you won't stay up. You won't stay up late.
I do
because he's in the studio.
He's old. But if I didn't have to, I'm old and I'd like to sleep always. Absolutely. My concern would be this, though. Anytime we say panel, that feels like a small group. And small groups with that much sway, 20, 25, 30, however many people you want, that's a lot of power to put into a panel of people. And I kind of like the discourse. I got like a beat writer from Nashville doing something like, wait a second, what's he doing? Like, I sort of like I'm a chaos merchant. I like chaos at any time I can get it. So
I'm with two chaos guys. Millard loves chaos too. So
yeah,
perfect.
I lean right into it.
You know what would be the question, guys? Does Schaefer be the unanimous Calder this year? Or will someone say, well, no, Jakob Dobas should be there? Or no, what Demidov did is more impressive. Like, I wonder if Schaefer doesn't go unanimous for the Calder this year.
I'll be shocked if he does. Truthfully, I mean, because somebody will vote.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't. He's got to be unanimous.
I agree with you.
I'll bet you Tooney he's not.
Because somebody's going to look at statistics, and somebody's going to say that Demidov had more points and Seneca had more goals.
Yeah, except they both placed forward. But yes, I know.
You're asking for common sense and logic again, Mike. There you go.
Darn it, my bad. Sorry, scratch that.
How's your tolerance of what's happening in Leafland?
Oh, there we go. That's good.
Fascinating. It's really fascinating. It's a really interesting point for the team. It's not been a great PR run for them. I mean, the decision they're making, you can talk about the decisions, but just the way they were rolled out and the perception of them haven't been fantastic. Winning the lottery, of course, is very exciting and gives them lots of options. But when that article dropped, and Chris Johnston put it out, that Auston Matthews is unsure about whether he will return to the Maple Leafs for next year meaning 26, 27, that to me hit heavy. You're like, wait a second. I thought maybe the following year, or if they start and it doesn't go well, because you guys know the market really well and the state of the team. So much, like, you don't want to run a team to appease or to be just make your decisions around one player. But if Auston decides he's going to leave, and he's entitled to think that, like he wants to go somewhere else, that's okay. It's human. If he decides that, you got to take the organization down a completely different course than if he decides, oh, you know what, I think I might want to stay. What is tricky is if he decides, I don't know, and I want to find out, because then you're sort of stuck in the middle. Because if you can trade him because he wants to leave, Then you go full rebuild, you trade everyone, and you get a boatload of young players, and you build around all those young guys. And you're like Chicago or San Jose have been. If he decides he wants to stay, then you take Gavin McKenna, you spend your money on defense, and you trade guys, and you try to get better next year, and you might make the playoffs. Probably won't compete for a cup, but that's the path you take. If he says, I don't know, which is also fair, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what it's going to look like. Well, then you sort of take the path of, we're going to try to rebuild to be better, but if it doesn't work, then does he become Quinn Hughes next year? Maybe. It's a tricky situation to be in. I don't know John Chayka at all. I've never met him. I never spoke to him. I know he's smart. I know he's got some history that makes people uneasy, but I don't have a problem with people who think differently or have been out of the game for a couple of years taking important positions. I think there's lots of room for guys like that. And I love Mats coming in. I'm biased, of course. I played with Mats as a teammate, as a line mate, to do team cultural kind of revisions, which I think is where he's going to go, not who's the third line winger in the Milwaukee Admirals. That's not what he's there to do. He's like, okay, wait a second. How to reinstill sort of pride in the team and give the players the atmosphere that allows them to be their best. He'll do that, and I think he'll do it well. But it's a lot happening in a short period of time that's going to drastically change the direction of the franchise.
I just think it's odd that during a highly publicized GM search and then the unveiling of the new manager and then winning the draft lottery, we haven't heard from Auston Matthews at all. And I know people have reached out, but he hasn't offered anything. And the captain of the team hasn't put out a tweet. Congratulations.
But don't you think he has to hear from? Don't you think he has to hear from Chayka first?
Well, I'm sure. No, he's the captain. He can say anything.
Did he speak?
We haven't heard from him at all.
When that CJ article dropped, was he not speaking? Like, that's from Auston or his camp or whatever. Like, if you're taking that as factual and correct, which there's no reason not to, that's coming from Austin's people. Like, who else would say that Auston?
Yeah, but we haven't heard from him. Like,
yeah, I he's mindful of that stuff. Like, yeah, you've seen other Leaf players post a congratulations on the winning the lottery or whatever. You know, if you are thinking about this, just put yourself in Austin's skates. And you are, okay, I'm 29 years old, 2 years left. We weren't very good last year. Where do I want the rest of my career to be? How I want to win. Do we have a chance to win? If I'm out there saying, way to go, Toronto, welcome home, Gavin, can't wait to play with you, and then nothing happens this summer and we're terrible early, and then I turn around and say, I want to get traded. Like, what's that feel like? What's that look like? So maybe he's just being a bit guarded because he is also dealing with big decisions.
We're going to know soon. They're going to meet soon. And I think that it's to the point now where if Auston is not going to stay, then this management team has a responsibility to get something for him even before the draft, Mike. All right,
John. The second this article came out, draft lottery day, Toronto wins, San Jose second. I don't know for sure what teams Auston, who has full control, would go to sign an extension. San Jose might be one of them, though. Anaheim, might be one of them. If you could trade Auston to San Jose and he decides he doesn't want to stay, so he's driving the bus, I don't want to stay, so we're going to trade you. You trade him to San Jose for the second overall pick, for Michael Misa, for William Eklund, and say, okay, we're turning the page. Like, that seems like something the Leafs will have to consider if he decides he wants to go. And you're like, okay, we're going to have, and then you trade Willie and you trade everybody and you get 10 good young players, and this is the team going forward, and hope that they grow into something good.
I've always had LA on my bingo card for Auston Matthews.
LA?
Kopitar's gone. You got money there. You can trade Byfield or Clark. As compensation.
Yeah. If you get rid of Byfield and Clark, what team is he going to?
You've got Artemi Panarin and him hanging out and making things happen. Yeah. Well, I think that's the rub, though, because wherever he goes, he will be robbing the team of the players he wants to go to play with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's where I'm like, but San Jose's got so many, you might be able to get away with it. And the second overall pick. Or Anaheim has so many, like Mason McTavish is sort of fallen out of favor there. You can get Olin Zellweger or Minchukov, future, whatever. Like, you got to look at teams that can afford to give up some players and still be a team that he wants to go to. And San Jose feels like with that second overall pick, maybe uniquely positioned to be that. If Austin decides he wants to get traded.
What's his stock at right now?
It's still really high.
Yeah.
I mean, is he Quinn Hughes? Probably around that. You could say maybe a bit less. Didn't have a great year last year. There's been some health concerns. But if Austin in a bad year is a 40-goal, 85-point guy, while dealing with a bad team that never had the puck, getting buried in his own end, playing defensive zone starts like he's a checking center, and that's his bad year, that's
okay.
Like if he was in San Jose, was what the second line center behind Celebrini for the next 8 years? Like he might be onto something.
I want to go back to something you talked about with Mats and culture, because maybe I'm myopic about this, but part of that is the coach's responsibility.
Sure.
So where do you see Mats in relationship to Craig Berube?
I mean, I think Mats can bring a voice from higher, and it's sort of like, Craig, there's culture within the room, which is, how we treat each other and how we play. And when our captain gets knee on knee hit, like, how do we respond? Like sort of this sort of idea. And that is a work in progress. And that's the players and the coach. But stuff like, how do we run our practice facility? And what do the players get treated like there? And who has access to them? And how many people are around? And can we have more opportunities for the players to just be themselves by themselves, as opposed to this organization that has so many moving parts that they don't ever get to feel like they're on their own as a group? Like, I think Mats is in that kind of stuff. So when he can come in and say, okay, we're not going to cancel a mentor's trip. We're going to make sure that the players in the dressing room have no one in the dressing room but the players for 2 hours after every practice. And we're not having the marketing department roll through for lunch while John Shannon is, and sitting there after practice. Like, he can do those kind of things and clean up some of that, so the players maybe just have a greater sense of togetherness, because the Leafs, I think, at times have gotten so big that it's almost been to the detriment of the group within the room. And maybe Mats can sort of close some of those doors down, not as far as access media-wise, but just make the players feel more like a group of players that are in it together and not have all the other stuff pulling around them. I think that's
so
where
you've heard
Mats
all this, that the players don't have their own space.
There's a talk.
You can see it a mile away. You can see it a mile away.
If you're around the team, there's a lot of stuff around the group, and Mats will probably want to go and remove some of that stuff that's around the group. Doesn't make them going to be a good team, but it may change the atmosphere. Talking to some of the players I remember when Mats was our captain, we would land in Vegas for a game, and he's like, okay, we'd land at 4, get to the airplane. He's like, lobby 6:30, everyone there. And there'd be 14 guys going for dinners and you're not drinking all night, but you're just more together. I think the Leafs have sort of drifted as a group of players and are not as close as they need to be. And I think Mats, with Craig, with Austin, with whoever else is there, can sort of try to bring that back together. And maybe that helps a little bit on the ice.
Can we wrap it up with a story? Didn't you, back in the day, when the Leafs and Raptors did some collabs together, promos, didn't you and Mats do one together?
We did. So one of my favorite parts about being a Maple Leaf was you guys know I was really into basketball in high school, and I played every day, and so I used to love going out and shooting on the court when we did practice. The game court would be down. I used to love walking in, no ticket, and being able to sit basically on the end of the Raptors bench for games. Like, I was like the 18th man on the bench. I loved it. And they would yell. You never seen, if people spoke to each other in hockey like they did in basketball, it would be a massive story. The stuff they said to each other was outrageous. But yes, Mats and I think it was like JYD and maybe Vince were doing cross, we were doing basketball stuff and they were doing hockey stuff. And yeah, Mats and I were doing voiceovers and putting together basketball nets, and I loved it. Mats was right out of his element because he's like, "What the hell am I doing here?" But yeah, somewhere in all my files and videos, I have those commercials, and I love them.
I think that's pretty cool.
Hey, when do you go to Europe?
I'm off Tuesday to Zurich or Freiburg for me. Canada's in Freiburg, but pretty good team for Canada. Like this shaping up. Evan Bouchard is going to be on Team Canada. Celebrini is going to be on Team Canada. Scheifele, Barzal. It's going to be in an Olympic year. It's going to be pretty good. Now, and Canada,
but
guys,
no McKenna. But no McKenna.
No, I know. I'm disappointed. I think they sort of offered him the extra junior role where you can come. We're not going to guarantee you playing time or even a roster spot, depending who else comes. And he said, you know what, I probably should work out, because he does. He does need to work out and get stronger for the draft. But Canada does not own a single gold in any international level, I think for the first time ever. U18s, women, men, U20 women, men, World Championships women, men, Olympics women, men, Para-Olympics women, men. Canada's got nothing. So a little pressure on this Canadian team to, right the ship here and win a gold.
Sad Misha Donskov.
Yeah, there you go. Smart guy.
Canada's coach. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great trip over there, pal.
All right, fellas. Always good to catch up. Always a pleasure.
Well, with you and I, like John's a bit of a hard ass.
I just asked
the Geek Squad. John Shannon's the Geek Squad. I'm trying to log on right now.
He's all over me. Turn your phone. Turn your phone back this way. Turn your phone this way.
People are going to misinterpret that. They're going to now. You're abusing me like those NBA players you were talking about.
No, Geek Squad's a compliment. That's a IT.
I pay $200 an hour for Geek Squad. What are we talking about? They're my best friends.
Yeah,
I charge $300, Mike. Don't worry. So
not surprising. Not surprising.
Back with more on 100% Hockey with Millard and the Geek.
Hey.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament
Us against the world, boys.
to the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
JYD, Junkyard Dog. I forgot about that.
Jerome, we're being Toronto centric, but Jerome was a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
Jerome was a fun guy to be around. He was bigger than life. He really was. He was so excited to get traded from Detroit to Toronto. He drove his car overnight from Detroit to Toronto to be there for practice the next day. So, and then he became he wasn't a very good player, but he became an icon and he became a hustle player. So it worked out pretty well.
Buffalo, boy, that place is going. Like they've got some enthusiasm around that city. I know it's 14 years and there's a lot of pent up excitement, and they should be. But that's the best environment, with all due respect to what's going on. Carolina, Vegas always puts on a show, but Buffalo's electric right now.
It will be fascinating to compare Buffalo for games 1 and 2 of this series with Montreal on Sunday and Tuesday.
Do you think they'll table jump in Montreal?
No, but I'll tell you what, I bet you the crowds outside of Montreal are bigger than the ones in Buffalo. Outside. That's how impressive Canadians have been. And really, what we're seeing, I think, in Buffalo is not just pent-up energy about the Sabres, but as you talked about table jumping, pent-up energy for the Bills too. This is a city that has been, on the football side, been on the precipice of having a championship team with some really good players, and the hockey team just lagged well behind. And now the Bills have had a coaching change. And it's the Sabres that are on a roll, and it's that enthusiasm that we see so many times at tailgate parties in Buffalo for football, that we're starting to see that enthusiasm come back for the Sabres, and it's kind of cool. It really is.
What are your plans for the weekend?
I'm going to Buffalo. I'm going to jump on a table tonight and watch the game, and then Sunday is Mother's Day. So my children are taking their mother out, and I might tag along.
That's very nice. I would pay good money to watch you jump on a table.
Somebody has to pay. So.
Yeah, that's it. Can you get somebody to hand your phone to somebody when you jump off a back of a truck onto a table? Can we record that thing?
If I do that, I just got to make sure my medical insurance is paid up. That's the key. That's the key, you know.
Yeah, because
I'm across the border too, right? You know,
I got you. Don't worry. The 100% Hockey Podcast with our benefit package, we got you.
Yeah. I'm glad. What were you going to try to catch me, or when I jump off the back of the truck?
I got you, like Lucy though.
yeah. I know that feeling. So.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody, and we will talk to you next time on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.